a shorter window today before practice. So I heard from Demetrius, so we'll go to you for the first question, okay?
Hey, Coach. I hope you're doing well. What do you sort of make of Ben Bartch? He's a Division III kid. He played a little tight end in college, then moved to tackle. Now he's playing guard and a little bit of center for you guys. So what do you make of him, and where do you see his NFL future going?
I like Ben. I liked him. His college tape was good, but, the level of play didn't give you a great indicator of what he possibly could be. I thought when he was at the Senior Bowl before he got hurt, I thought he competed extremely well there. Showed some things that we like in our guys, some strain. He has some tenacity. He's a bright kid. I think this really is just him getting comfortable. He hasn't shied away from the competition. Just technically getting used to how we want to play, making the transition from tackle to guard. Okay, it's not as easy when you don't have a spring. So he's fighting through the early parts of making that adjustment. But I'm fired up for him. I think he'll be a good player for us in the future.
Were you sort of surprised by his size when he just got here from Division III, or no?
I'm not surprised by anybody's size. It doesn't matter where you play, right? He was a tall kid, at least coming out of high school, and he had to work to put on weight. So no, I wasn't shocked, and I think he did a good job from the spring, from the draft till now, putting on more weight. I think when we drafted him, he was like 308 or 309, and I think he's in the 215 or 315 to 317 range now. So I think he's done a nice job with that, and he has good strength and power as well.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks, Demetrius. Let's go to D-Rock and then John Shipley.
Coach, Doug said the other day that the offensive line came back in really good shape, stronger. He said it was a little bit of a surprise to him how much better they looked, I guess, coming back despite not having the offseason to kind of get after it a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about that? Were you surprised as well? And what do you think that reason is? That just a bigger commitment on each of their own?
That's interesting because the thing about this offseason, all the pressure was on the individual player in terms of how he returned. Okay, they didn't have Milo in the weight room to monitor him. They weren't around us to be monitored. So it was going to be a direct indication of what their commitment was to how they wanted to come back, and it was nobody else responsible for it but themselves. That was made very clear in our encounters, in our meetings, that, hey, listen, when you come back here, if you're not in shape, it's going to fall on your shoulders, nobody else's. And those guys, listened to that, and they all worked. I mean, I know Cam was working. I know AJ was working, all those guys. So I was pleased with where they came back now, and we still got work to do, but they came back in a position where we didn't have to fight to get them into shape before we could start making progress. They came in a position where we could really start making progress without being hindered by somebody being overweight or out of shape or not ready to go.
Thanks, D-Rock. Let's go John Shipley and then Gene.
Hey, Coach. I know Will Richardson has made the full-time switch to tackle after playing a little bit of tackle and a little bit of guard last year. Just what have you seen from his progress so far, and what about his skill set encourages you about him playing tackle?
After last year with Will, I thought he did a tremendous job for us going in at guard, making that transition. But I wasn't sure if that's what his best position was. I was thinking he might be a better tackle than guard. So we put him at left tackle, and which is new for him as well, right? He played a little bit last year, but his whole college career, he was a right tackle. I'd say in the last 3 or 4 days, he's really starting to settle in, being on the left side and getting comfortable back at tackle. So I think Will has a variety of skill sets for us. I mean, last year we got him to snap. In a pinch, he can pull the ball, right? As long as we get him some work, we know he could play guard if need be, and now he's a tackle. So until he establishes himself as a starter for us at some point in time, if that occurs, we have a really valued a guy with some extreme position flexibility. So I like where Will is. I like where his head is, and again, he shows up to work every day.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thanks, John. Let's go Gene and then John Reed.
George, John just stole a lot of my thunder on that question about Will Richardson. But as a follow-up to this, are you implying with the end of your answer to John that there is not legitimate competition for that left tackle starting job, that Cam's got a pretty good grip on it, or is Will giving him a pretty good run for his money in your mind right now?
I'm going to be frank and honest. First, Will had to get adjusted to playing left tackle. All right. So I don't think he was there when we started training camp. And as I stated, the last 3 or 4 days, you could see him settling in. As he gets more settled in and he gets more comfortable, he creates more competition. Right. That's just where it is. But when he walked in the door, I wouldn't say day one he was truly competing with Cam, because Cam is so far ahead of him. As he closes the distance, he'll start competing. And I think he's starting to close the distance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gene. Let's go over to John Reed.
Coach, you can hear me?
Yes.
Tell me, did you push strongly to keep this group together during it, after last season? And also, what do you think the biggest strides has been made right now as far as improvement as an overall group? Look like the guys are a lot more physical, and look like they know what you expect a little bit more just watching from the practice field. But overall, just what do you think, right? I know it's still early, but what is the biggest strides you see as a group?
Well, I'm going to start with your first question. And yes, I wanted to keep all these guys. My opinion about my guys often differs from other people's opinions about my guys. But the one thing I saw from this group last year was they were physical, right? They were physical. Cam was dealing with a knee, okay? So you really didn't see all of him, and I'm hopeful we'll see all of him and what he's capable of now moving forward. I teach things a little bit differently, okay? And it takes some time to understand that. But again, at the end of the year, I thought our guys had a good understanding and they were going about it the right way. The biggest strides they're making now is they know what's expected of them. So there's really nothing new. Of the 14 guys we have here in camp now, 10 of them were here last year. So there's not a whole lot of teaching going on other than with Garrett McGill, who's new, and then the 3 rookies. So they know what it is, right? They know what the expectation is. They know how we want to play. And the emphasis is on being physical, right? We want to run guys over. I mean, that's our thought process.
Thanks, John Reed. Let's go 2 final questions, and we'll get Coach Warhop out to practice. Let's go John Osher, and then we'll finish with Shadrick.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Cam. How important is he to overall what you want to do, and where do you see him right now in comparison to last year in terms of his progress, the knee, et cetera?
How important? I mean, Cam's going to be our starting left tackle. I think he's extremely important, and we need him to perform at a high level. The biggest thing from last year to now is he can take all the practice, right? He's out there in all the practice. He's taking all the reps. There's been, and to this point, no issues with him physically. So, I mean, he can just keep going and getting better, and we don't have to worry about managing him like we did last year. Last year, it was a daily managing of him to get him through practice and at times to get him through the games. So, that part of it now, right, now that he's healthy, in my opinion, we can start seeing what he's truly capable of.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
Thanks, Osh. And let's finish up with JP.
Coach, good morning. I have a question about Juwan Taylor. Obviously, the penalty totals last year were very high. Where is his confidence level after that? He obviously has fantastic talent. So how have you seen him take the biggest strides this offseason from what ended at the end of last year, coming into training camp this year, and what can he be in year 2?
First and foremost, I don't think you can shake Juwan's confidence. So whatever happened last year, if it was negative, it's gone for him. All right. Juwan's upbeat. If you've ever been around him, he's upbeat. He's positive. He's always looking to be the best. He's an unbelievable teammate. He's a second-year player, and he carries himself like he's a seasoned vet in the room. And I don't mean that from a selfish standpoint. I'm just talking about how he engages other guys, all the rookies, all the new guys, the 4 new guys we have in the room. He's engaged those guys. They pulled them right in. So that part of Juwan that's one reason why he'll be a good player, because his demeanor is such that there's nothing that's ever going to get him down. In terms of building on last year, for him, it's just continually become more consistent, right? We're preaching his hands, bend, pad level, all the stuff that's needed to be consistent and play at a high level, and he'll buy into all that. So he'll just stay on his track, and he'll keep working at it, and we'll keep trying to get him better.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Hey, I got
Thank you, Hop.
I got one thing I want to say, though. All right. And this is outside of this, but Howard Mudd passed away a week ago. All right. And you guys all saw it. There's probably I haven't seen all that's been mentioned about him, but I want to make this statement about him. I love that guy. All right. When I was coaching and when I was a young coach, he reached out to me. He saw some of my guys play, reached out to me, and took me under his wing. I wouldn't have this job today if it wasn't for him. And I don't think people understand what an impact he had on almost every line coach in the NFL and quite a few guys in college and how we play. I mean, every day in my meeting room, I'll make a statement or a comment, and it's directly from him, right? I'll teach a technique, and it's directly from him. And I just don't think people truly understand how he's going to be missed in this profession, because he's touched every one of us. He's touched my family, all right, my kids, my wife, all of them. So I just want to make the statement how truly beneficial he was for me as a coach, as a man, to my family. And again, I wouldn't be a third of the coach I am if it weren't for him. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you, Hop. We appreciate that.
Yeah.